Hi, my name's Alison Bartolo, and I'm here today to talk to you about xenoestrogens and balancing your hormones. So this is just a bite-sized video giving you some of the very basics, but hopefully enough to cover you to give a good idea of why we want to avoid xenoestrogens and some ways that you can support yourself through that. So firstly, starting with what are actually estrogens and xenoestrogens and phytoestrogens, what's the difference? So estrogen is just a group of steroid hormones, or any group of steroid hormones, which promote, develop, and maintain the female characteristics of the body. And we'll go through a little bit of that in a bit more detail on the next slide. Xeno just literally means foreign. So these are foreign, and I'll show you what these are and how these actually get into your body and the impact they have. And then phyto literally just means plant. So phytoestrogens are a really great natural way to naturally boost each estrogen in your body. Ways, from the external to the internal ways that we can do that in a beautifully supportive way. So what are the influences of estrogen on the body? You can see here just some basic ones. We've got the brain, so there's body temperature adjustment, memory function, libido adjustment. We've got the liver with its cholesterol production, bones, so that bone strength and density. We've got skin, so skin can often get quite thin and much more susceptible to becoming wrinkly as estrogen levels lower. We've got the heart, so estrogen protects that from cholesterol. We've got the breast function, the feeding function and breast growth, ovaries, so maturation and stimulation, and the uterus, so obviously that impact on our monthly cycle. So you can see here, particularly for women who are over 40, entering the peri-menopause, or they're right in the menopause phase. So peri-menopause just means leading up to, so it's often where you have a lot more of the symptoms. Menopause actually means the end, and then post-menopause is once your period has actually finished forever and doesn't ever come back. So you can see here the sort of roller coaster ride that the estrogen has throughout the menopause. So these, spikes high and spikes low, and that's why we often see. So when estrogen is particularly high, we have things, we get symptoms like irregular or heavy periods, weight gain, fatigue, fibroids, PMS, depression, anxiety, low libido, and then when it's particularly low, we have problems with the temperature control. So that's where we end up with things like the hot flushes and night sweats. Also with low estrogen, we've got mood swings, thinning of the skin, so that wrinkle, more susceptible to wrinkles, breast tenderness, headaches, trouble focusing. Again, low libido hits when the estrogen's too high and when it's too low. Same with anxiety and depression. Also can have sleep issues, and also the irregular cycles and irregular periods as well. So whether it's high or whether it's low, what we really want to do is to stop the spikes and the troughs, the dips, and bring our hormones into balance, so it's a smoother ride for us as possible as we transition through our life, no matter which stage we're at. So let's just have a look here at the xenoestrogens. So this is a little bit sciencey, but just bear with me. You can see at the bottom, and it's not the best diagram, I apologize, but at the bottom we've got a cell of our body. So obviously cells are the building blocks of us. That's what we're built up of. And cells, they need information so that they know how to behave. They know whether to be well. They know whether to cause disruption to you or treat you well, so that things are going smoothly for you. But in order to know how to behave, it needs information from the outside. So like, for example, emotions are information carrying molecules that travel around our body, and they attach to cell receptors to go inside the cell to tell the cell how, what we're feeling, and so how then to respond, and how the body feels in reaction to that feeling. So likewise, estrogen hormones will enter the cell through a cell receptor. So this sort of Y-shaped looking thing that sticks out from the cell. So the yellow star is sort of entry point from the cell receptor into the cell. And that sort of Y-ish looking shape is the cell receptor. So it's sort of like, they hang on the outside of the cells going, please tell me how to behave. And they need these molecules to come in. So you can see here that estrogen binds to the receptor to send the message through to the cell to tell it whether or not to have a hot flush, or what mood to be in, or how to sleep, or all these sorts of things. Now, xenoestrogens, so xeno means foreign. So these are from all sorts of things that we'll see on the next slide. But what these do is, unfortunately, these foreign estrogens, they actually fit perfectly within these cell receptors. So these cell receptors are designed specifically in a shape to only accept estrogen. So these cell receptors are designed specifically to wait for estrogen information. So xenoestrogens are things like from plastics and preservatives and all sorts of things we'll see on the next slide. Unfortunately, these foreign particles fit perfectly within our estrogen cell receptors. And so our body normally would reject foreign things, but actually receives these xenoestrogens. And this causes a lot of disruption in our body. It can cause inflammation. It can cause unintended signals that we don't want. So what are they and where are they hiding? Well, even so much as in our water, particularly in tap water. So even if you're not consuming it, even if you're filtering it, even if you're bathing in it, our skin readily absorbs the xenoestrogens from that. A lot on pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides. Lots of cleaning products, so whether that's home or industrial, plastics, so for food, beverages, store containers, canned foods, dental sealants, receipts even, air and dust, they're so tiny and just floating around in our air from our environment. Air fresheners, laundry products, home furnishings, hair dyes, nail polishes, cosmetics, personal care products, perfumes, sunscreens, medical devices, birth control pills, toys, building materials, photocopies and printers, and artificial food dyes. So it is a little bit scary to read that, because you think, well, even if you live a low tox life, it's very difficult to not come into contact with any of those, because they're part of our normal society and our culture. But we are sadly living in quite a highly synthesized society, where a lot of what we touch and what we consume is impacted and affected and riddled with xenoestrogens. So I run a program called Ditch and Switch, which teaches you very simply in our real world how to ditch some of these toxins and things like xenoestrogens and replace them really in a really simple way with switching to low tox alternatives. So just simply here, there's a few ideas. So when we've got all these pesticides on our foods, switching as much as possible to organic is really a critical one. It's obviously a budget issue for most people, but if you start with the Dirty Dozen, just look up Google Dirty Dozen, and they're the most highly pesticide laden foods. So they're the ones to swap out first, and also non-GMO, non-genetically modified is best. You can switch your synthetic cleaning products to DIY cleaning products. It's way cheaper and it's absolutely beautiful. Smells amazing. I've provided all the recipes in our group, and you get lots of recipes and ideas to do that, and it's beautiful and easy. So as much as possible, replacing plastics with wood, steel, and glass. Tinned foods with fresh foods, and really focusing on those phytoestrogens. So those plant-based estrogens that are going to naturally come in, they also bind to those same cell receptors. They're not as strong, they're not as sort of impactful, and you have to have, so it's fine to have as much of them as you like, but they are going to have that positive impact. So things like flax seeds, nuts, kale, garlic, sesame seeds, peaches, turnips. You also got the sort of spicy things like horseradish and wasabi and watercress and radishes and those sorts of things. And you'll be pleased to know that even red wine is in there. So you can see here, there's lots of, I won't go through the whole list, but lots of ways to ditch and to switch to low tox alternatives. And I show you exactly how to do that in a really beautifully presented program called Ditch and Switch, which is easy to follow and it's fully supported as well. And here's a taster of what the sort of things that you can replace really cheaply and really easily once you know how. And if you'd like to do that, then just jump on to Linktree, so the dot between the two E's, and before the two E's, sorry, /join doTERRA. Then choose any starter kit. I recommend either the small, medium, or large ones that contain the top 10 oils. So we use essential oils to use all the therapeutic benefits of cleaning things and using the therapeutic chemicals on our body, chemistry on our body, and also use them to replace first aid kits and that sort of thing. So if you've got the top 10 essential oils, you'll be able to make all those things that we have listed there. So the small, medium, or large all contain the top 10 that will allow you to replace your first aid kit use them for cooking, cleaning, skincare, gut health, sleep, stress, all of the above. Or feel free to reach out to me for a free 15-minute no obligation consultation. I just want to hear from you and what your needs are and whether or not it's a right fit for you. You're welcome to email me at healthymunchkins@gmail.com, and I will get back to you. And in case you missed it, my name is Alison. So I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.